I would love to welcome all of you. It is so nice to be here with you. My name is Kristin Malta. I'm the founder of MommyMingle, and along with PersonaNutrition, we are thrilled to have you join us today, along with our beautiful panel of experts, as we focus on our health and really learn about a personalized approach to a better self-care routine. Now, there isn't a one-size-fits-all when it comes to nutrition. Whether you're pregnant, trying, breastfeeding, or recovering postpartum and beyond, you deserve a program that's tailored to your needs and that's scientifically backed and trusted. There's a lot of information out there about what vitamins and supplements you should be taking, and quite frankly, it's really confusing and overwhelming. And let's be honest, we have so much on our plate already. I'm a mom to 3 little kids under 4 years old, and yes, the juggle is definitely a struggle. I completely understand the emotional, physical, and mental labor of motherhood, and it can be draining. What I can tell you is how we choose to nourish our body will make a huge difference in our overall health and well-being. I've been using Persona for a little over 2 months now, and I can honestly say I felt a difference in my energy levels, my hair and my skin, my appetite control, and even my sleep patterns. What I found completely beneficial about Persona is its convenience. I took an assessment, which is around 5 minutes online, answering some key questions about my lifestyle, diet, health goals, even any medications I was on, and a personalized supplement plan was created just for me. The prepackaged vitamin and supplement packs arrived, even with my name printed on it, which was so nice, and separated what to take in the morning and nighttime. Literally convenience at your fingertips, which I so appreciate, and I'm sure you do as well. Now, what truly sets Persona apart and makes a difference is their personalized approach and truly understanding that your nutritional needs shift throughout different ages and stages of life. They have you covered for all of it, using only pure, natural ingredients tested to the highest standards. So without further ado, I'd love to send a big thank you to Persona for making this educational event possible today. And also don't forget to visit www.PersonaNutrition.com/MommyMingle to get 50% off your first month. So let's get to our incredible panel of experts here with us today, and I'm so excited to introduce them. First is Daphne Oz. She is a mom to 4, an author, co-host of Fox's MasterChef Junior and The Dish on Oz, Mom Brain podcaster, and PersonaNutrition ambassador. Honestly, there's nothing this woman can't do. We also have Dr. Kameelah Phillips joining us today. She is the founder of Kameelah Women's Health, a board-certified OBGYN, and a lifelong women's health advocate and expert in women's health issues. Knowledge is truly power, and I'm a strong believer in understanding your personal health enables you to be the best advocate for yourself and your children. Which leads me to our next panelist, Dr. Lauren Crosby, a nationally recognized parenting expert and pediatrician in practice at LaPeer Pediatrics in LA, and attending physician at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. She is also a medical advisor to Persona. Now, understanding our children's nutritional needs is vital to their growth and development. So I truly can't wait to start talking to you, Dr. Crosby, for all your advice. Our last panelist here is Leah Keller. She's the founder and chief creative officer at Every Mother and certified personal trainer. She is the creator of the EM Body program, the only program clinically proven to resolve diastasis recti. We definitely have a lot to talk about, so let's jump in. If you have a question, please type it into the chat and we will be sure to take a Q&A at the end. Okay, so let's get started. Daphne, I think we're all dying to know, number one, how you do it all, but also what rituals and habits you practice to stay aligned and true to yourself.
Thank you, Kristin. And I'm so excited for this conversation. There's so much I am eager to learn from all these beautiful women. How do I do it all? That's hilarious. I don't is the obvious answer. And I had a conversation with some girlfriends about this recently, because I do think it's a weird woman thing that we do, where when we see another woman who looks like somehow she's doing everything, realistically, it's not possible. What 24 hours feels like, and how that time gets spread so thin across all the things that we're responsible for and all the people we're responsible for. So, if it looks unreal, it's probably unreal. There's probably other things at play. And what I find is true is, yes, I absolutely have support that I could not do the things I do without. Number two is I prioritize. And unfortunately, that means some things do fall by the wayside. And what I've worked really hard to get better at is not stealing my own joy. Because I think when I first became a mom, this was in 2014, I was at the CHU. I remember this feeling as when I went back to work, Philo was like 8 weeks old. And every time I was at work, a job that I loved, doing what I loved, I felt terrible. And like I was missing critical moments with my new baby and missing learning how to be a mom, which I was devastated by. And then anytime I was home with her, I was like, I'm missing career opportunities. And I'm not at the meeting I'm supposed to be at, or these emails are languishing for weeks and weeks and weeks. And what I realized is I was constantly feeling negative. I was constantly feeling anxious and robbed of just that feeling of feeling good in your skin and feeling confident in your skin, which I think we'll touch on in a couple different places from a physical standpoint, but from an emotional standpoint, it all feeds back together. So as I've had more kids and as I've gotten more comfortable in my own personal, constantly recalibrating priority list, I have gotten much better at acknowledging to myself, if I've chosen to be here, and by the way, it takes a lot to I have now become a really rigorous determiner of what is valuable and what is not a valuable way to spend my time. But if I've chosen to spend my time here, it's because I love it, or I get something really good out of it. My family gets something really good out of it. And so I can let myself enjoy that. And
absolutely.
I think that's really the goal of figuring out how to be all the things we do want to be, even if you can't be all those things all at once.
Absolutely. And that's such good points to be made. Obviously, you've had 4 children. So I'd love for you to share with us, during each pregnancy, did you take any specific prenatal vitamins or need any specific nutrients in your diet, maybe before or during pregnancy?
Yeah, well, I'm sure you can imagine, as we all are before our first babies, we become, it was sort of a surprise pregnancy. So I thought I was going to have like, this 6-month clean lead up to pregnancy and whatever. But I didn't get to do that. And fortunately, I'm a pretty, healthy person anyway, so it was okay. But I will say the minute I found out I was pregnant, the first thing I did was book it over to, my health food store and try to figure out and cobble together this random assortment of pills that I thought were a prenatal benefit. And I started with a brand, I moved on to other brands. I ultimately came and found my sort of mix, but it was complicated. And frankly, there was a decent amount of guesswork involved in it in terms of what was going to be the right mix for me. And it's part of why, one of many reasons I love my Persona pack, because it knows exactly what I need. It knows exactly what my lifestyle is like, what my body needs at a given time period, and I can adjust for that dynamically. But ultimately, it all comes in one pack at the quality and the quantities that I really know I need. But I'll say, like, the supplements I focus most on for prenatal, and this has been consistent throughout my 4 pregnancies. DHA, an essential fatty acid supplement, I think is critical for brain development. The doctors on the panel can speak much more to that. Of course, vitamin D is something we overlook. Certainly, I overlooked in the earlier pregnancies, but it's so important for baby brain development and mood balance and all kinds of important things. And obviously, folic acid is something that we've heard a lot about. There's some really interesting studies coming out now about the type of folic acid certain women respond best to. So that's something I would advocate everyone sort of gets tested for, because folic acid and folinic acid and folate, all the different forms of it are really critical for making sure that you are growing that, and the best possible environment for growing a really healthy, happy baby.
Yes, definitely. And such a good point that you touched on. And Dr. Phillips, I will direct this one to you, because we do talk about, choosing a prenatal vitamin. It's not an easy task and it can be overwhelming. So can you share with us what we should look for in a prenatal?
Yes, I can. Thanks for the question. I see women, new moms every day, and they're like, what am I looking for? You go into a grocery store and there's a billion options, but are they the right ones for you? And so usually I tell them to find a prenatal vitamin that they're actually going to use. Some prenatal vitamins have characteristics that, especially in the first trimester, can actually turn women off. And so those are prenatal vitamins that are exceptionally large, or have an aftertaste, or have a smell that can make nausea or any food aversions, even worse. And so the first thing I tell them is, let's find something that you're at least going to take. And if you can be compliant because it's a tolerable vitamin, that's most important. The other things like Daphne was mentioning that are really important are folate, which I encourage people to start taking before they even become pregnant, because that neurological development is super important before the 2 lines even turn up on the, bathroom pee test that everyone takes. And you want to know that you have that on board. So the folate, the folic acid, the folinic, we can talk about that. All of that is important even before you conceive. The next thing that I recommend is some degree of iron. Many women start pregnancy and they have great iron stores, but over the course of pregnancy, babies are great at snatching available iron that's in your system. We love them, but they snatch things right as soon as they enter the system.
So greedy.
Greedy. And so many moms can become anemic or have low iron over the course of their pregnancy. And so I think it's really important that we acknowledge that and start to supplement early on so that we're not behind when they're a 3rd trimester. And of course, entering labor and delivery, where iron and your iron levels are important. And I also think it's important to have a vitamin that's not only affordable, but accessible, because when you're growing this life inside you, you want to just stream down all of the things that you have to get done. And so those are the major things that I encourage moms to think about when choosing a vitamin.
Definitely, and great points for any expecting moms out there to really think about. And also, it's very common. Many women face morning sickness, fatigue, heartburn. I mean, I could go on and on. I could name several more. But Dr. Phillips, are there any supplements that would maybe specifically combat this?
Yeah. So it's not so much a supplement, but really behavior change is one thing that can help moms get through this. Not feeling that they have to throw back 3 meals every day is something that it's important to understand, and forgive yourself for not feeling like you need to eat 3 meals a day, but slowly graze over time, not feeling like you have to have a sandwich, but a liquid diet can also help some of the morning sickness, heartburn and nausea, but still give you nutrition. One thing that culturally, really around the world, women have found to be helpful is ginger. And whether that's in your prenatal vitamin in the form of ginger candy, you often hear people talking about how they drink a lot of ginger ale, but that has been a supplement that's helped a lot of my patients combat the morning sickness and heartburn and nausea.
Yes, wonderful. Good points. Leah, I would love to, bring you in here. As a certified personal trainer, we're really focused on the prenatal talks right now. And I love that you promote that we don't need to spend hours in the gym, because quite frankly, most of us don't even have time for that. But it's really about the right movements at the right time and the right way. So I would love to hear from you about how you approach prenatal movement with this mindset.
Absolutely. In my experience, it's really about empowering women with education and awareness so that they understand how their bodies are changing and how they need to work out to be safe and effective. And so rather than spending hours at the gym or going in and working with a trainer who may or may not know exactly how to help you, I try to give that firsthand information that's evidence-based to women. And we also offer all of the workouts in 30 minutes or less that are recommended by OBGYNs, and ACOG, which is kind of the body that oversees all of those things, in our app. So we make it really easy to do at home. And one of the points of the most confusion that I've seen in women is the abdominal muscles. Like, do I train them at all? I know I probably shouldn't do crunches. Do I just do nothing and let my abdominal muscles weaken and then enter birth with weakness? So we really focus in our program on how to train your deep core muscles to empower you to have strength in labor and optimal recovery.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I love that I'm hearing the common theme of convenience, right? So we talked about things that are easily accessible and convenience at our fingertips, which is so important for all of us. Daphne, I would love to know, did you have any favorite go-to prenatal workouts?
Well, listening to Leah chat about, the research and the availability now and the conversation around diastasis and like helping moms not just recover their core, which I think is, we talk about it a lot, like feeling strong in your skin again, feeling good in your body, but never lose it in the first place. No one ever talked to me about that. And
Right.
and I think that's a really good point of do yourself a favor and give yourself a leg up in labor with muscles you actually know how to control. All my girlfriends who are either Pilates enthusiasts or ballerinas or whatever, yes, they are always, in great shape, but they also just had amazing body control in labor that made it sound like they didn't feel as out of sorts as I think some of the rest of us can relate. So I love that that's becoming more accessible and more of a focus. Throughout the course of my pregnancies, I've gotten better and better about working out. I definitely, the first time was more of the eat for two and relax mentality. And I think that as you have toddlers who are with you when you're pregnant, you no longer get the like, take a nap, have a bath kind of mentality. You're running around after them and you're, sometimes disregarding doctor's orders to not pick up heavy things. My children were always like 30-pound bowling balls. So, my workouts were oftentimes chasing the kids. And it wasn't until I think my third pregnancy that I really became aware. I loved Obey Fitness. I went with and worked out with a Pilates instructor that I liked a lot. But the reality is that took a lot of commitment to get to a thing. And that's why I liked Obey. And I love, Embody, where it's this idea of just do it from your computer. Once I empower you with the information of understanding the muscles you're trying to work and how to do them safely, because it's terrifying to think you don't want to hurt your baby. You don't want to do something incorrectly. And so to have the great information at your fingertips that is science-backed and evidence-based, and also be doing something that is about you on a physical level, and again, on an emotional level, staying good and connected in your own skin. I think it made such a difference for my pregnancies and my recovery, being more devoted to my fitness routine in a safe way.
Yes. And Leah, as we talk about total nurturing of the whole self, how do you feel like emotional and mental well-being play a role in our physical self-care?
I mean, I think it's all intertwined. Like, we're whole people.
Mhm.
And so it's hard to separate, I'm physically okay, but I'm mentally a wreck. Like, I think when we support all of ourselves, that's how we really promote health. For me, just as a person, physical activity has always been a stress release. And it's always been something that is like sort of my first go-to is nurturing myself. So for me, like being able to carve out even 10 minutes just to like work out, be active, move my body, that's like a huge mental, emotional support to me. Also sleep, all these things that we're doing to nourish our bodies with food, with supplements, especially during and after pregnancy, with movement that's healthy and smart and safe. All those things really just help us be healthier mentally, emotionally, better moms, better people.
Absolutely. And have you found, any certain supplements that really help support you feeling at your best?
I would say it's a little bit hard for me to like notice a big shift in change of how I feel when I take a supplement. But the times I've been absolutely the most committed to really being consistent every day with taking supplements have been when I've been trying to conceive and then during the pregnancy, because I know that it's just so hard to get every single nutrient we need adequately through even the best nutrition. And so I always prioritize having one with folate, DHA, vitamin D, and also while breastfeeding early on in that.
Yeah, and that's so important to note, right? The consistency, because really when you're consistent with things, that's when you notice the biggest change and you know that it's acting appropriately as it should. I love that your Embody program is actually clinically proven to resolve diastasis recti. Can you explain first actually what that is and if we need to get checked by a doctor, or is it something that we can maybe do ourselves?
Sure. So diastasis recti, I actually have a visual right here. I don't know if you can see it with the background. Okay, maybe not. Well, it's a separation of your abdominal muscles, the six-pack sort of the rectus abdominis muscles. It will stretch sideways, like the connective tissue stretches, often during the pregnancy. And it's to accommodate space for the growing baby. But that there are ways we can train the abdominal muscles during the pregnancy to avoid excessive strain on that tissue and kind of distribute that stretch a little bit in a healthier way that will recover faster. And then we can also fully resolve that separation. And that's the study I've done with Weill Cornell, and now a more recent study that's about to be published with Hospital for Special Surgery. But we have proven that we can actually resolve that separation through exercise, which is phenomenal and such good news for women. And when they restore that separation, they not only feel better and look better, but they also get relief from back pain. They improve urinary stress incontinence, all these other symptoms that a lot of women think, oh, well, this is just the collateral damage of motherhood. I just have to live with this. It's not true. You can train in small ways, 5-10 minutes a day, to improve your core strength and function and feel better. So that's what our program is really built around, both preventing and resolving that separation. And whether or not you need to be checked by a doctor or a midwife, you absolutely can check yourself at home to at least get a sense of like what's going on in my abdomen, where are my muscles, is there a deep gully, is there a shallow gully? And on our website, which is every-mother.com, we have a free video anyone can watch. Come to the website, watch the video, and I will show you how to check yourself at home. So you can have a sense like what's going on there. And then if you want to follow up, you can talk to your practitioner.
I love that. That's so important too, really, taking in your own health. And I love that we're talking about advocating for yourself. I think that's such an important, topic to discuss. And Daphne, obviously you've gone through the postpartum experience. So in talking about exercise, how did that differ for you each time?
Well, it was really a learning curve, as I think all of motherhood is. You have one baby, you have 10 babies, you have to learn. The biggest struggle was becoming more and more aware of what I could be doing. And Leah, I love that is something you can confidently say now, that's not just a side effect of motherhood. And motherhood isn't a disease. I think sometimes people treat you like you have something wrong, and your body is so brilliant and elastic and incredible, and the reality is the hardest thing to do is to find the time to devote to creating this recovery and harnessing back that strength in your skin. So the hardest thing for me was learning more and more about what I could be doing and having less and less time to do it. And so I am, what I ultimately came to, and I've really committed to this, especially through quarantine and COVID, because, it feels like, our time got crunched in a lot of ways there as well, is 10 minutes adds up. Like if you can only get 10 minutes in at a time, and even if you only do that 10 minutes, but sometimes I'm lucky, I get like 10 minutes in the morning, I might get another 10 minutes in the middle of the afternoon. Sometimes I'll squeak in something before bed. And that really has created major results for me that I feel, I used to be the person that if I couldn't work out for an hour, it wasn't worth it. And then I just wouldn't work out. And this is a way that I feel like the more accessible and easier we make it, the more we focus on gentle, but small muscle group strengthening. I really do feel that in my skin and in my clothes, which I also love.
Yes. And that's so important too. 5-10 minutes goes such a long way. And I love that you pointed out that it adds up throughout the day. If you have 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, you really will start to feel a difference when those are all compiled together. And as we, move through our day, Daphne, how obviously, your lifestyle, you have so many different things going on with the 4 kids. So how easy was it to kind of reevaluate your postnatal needs and maybe adjust, different vitamins and supplements and your Persona program that you were on?
Well, that's what I was describing when I first walked that health food store aisles plural actually, and tried to figure out what to take. And look, I'm a nerd. I love doing my research. I love reading. I really want to get the highest quality, I'm a chef by training. I want the best ingredients in everything that I used. And I found it extremely overwhelming. It's expensive. It's a lot of wasted product because Dr. Phillips was mentioning, like, if you don't take it, it doesn't help you. I had all these bottles stuffed in my cupboard, and that is another reason when I discovered Persona, it was for me, it was the ability to stick with a good habit that I set for myself, that I wanted for myself, but that convenience had kind of gotten in the way of me really being consistent on before. And another thing that I think is such a brilliant service that Persona offers is you can talk to their real life human nutritionist and be able to say, look, like I'm feeling a little tired. I feel like my sleep is off. I'm a mom. Like, what do I do for that? And they'll offer you some insights, which I think the average person just doesn't have the bandwidth to go and read all the documentation and paperwork about how to take certain vitamins. And by the way, how vitamins interact with each other, and how you mentioned, any medications, that drug nutrient interaction is really important too. And it's just such a relief and such a stress taken away to be able to rely on someone who lives and sweats and breathes this and can look at your specific profile and help you create the perfect pack that makes it really simple.
Absolutely. I love the prepackaged, it makes it convenient and easy to take. And actually what I love that everyone has been talking about is something to really consistently commit to. And that's what's so important about it. And Dr. Crosby, you know, as we're talking about, you know, postnatal recovery, a lot of questions get brought up if moms are breastfeeding, right? Should they continue to take their prenatal vitamins? And why would you suggest that that be important?
Yeah, I get asked this all the time. So we know mother's milk provides all the nutrition an infant needs for the best start at life. Continuing to take that vitamin is critical to support and replenish mom's nutrition while she's nursing. Like we were saying, the baby's the taker, right? So the nutrition requirements for breastfeeding are similar to those in pregnancy. Prenatal vitamins are specially formulated to meet the high demand needs of a postpartum lactating mom and the needs of the growing baby, because you're making food for the baby, and that takes a toll on your own nutrition. The baby knows the baby comes first. The body knows the baby comes first. So it takes from you to make the nutritious milk, and that can leave you with nutrient, mineral, vitamin deficiencies. And even if you eat a well-balanced, healthy diet, it can still be difficult to make sure you get all the essential nutrients you need every single day. So if you take that prenatal, you can make sure there aren't any nutritional gaps in your diet, which is one less thing to worry about, which is really important. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And, you know, I'd love to touch on whether parents are, you know, formula feeding or breastfeeding.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any supplements that specific maybe infants should be taking within that first year?
Yeah, definitely. The two I recommend the most are vitamin D and a probiotic. Because even if an infant is formula fed, if they're not drinking 32 ounces of formula a day, they need that extra D. Vitamin D is critical for bone building in children, and a deficiency can lead to something some of you have probably heard of called rickets, which is a bone softening disease. And vitamin D deficiency can lead to an increased risk of fractures in older kids, teens, and even in adults. And vitamin D has been shown to have other lifelong health benefits, as we've briefly touched on, benefits to the immune system, the cardiovascular system, and probiotics also super important to help boost the immune system of the gut and help with colic. Even there's been studies on that, aid in recovery from intestinal infections and even recover from antibiotic associated diarrhea. So we use it a lot.
Wow. And, you know, as we kind of transition from infants now, maybe into the toddler stage and even beyond, when would you suggest children start taking a multivitamin?
Yeah, also a good question. So typically I recommend a multivitamin around the age of 2 years, but sometimes sooner, depending on the child's diet, to make sure that we fill nutritional gaps. It should contain many essential vitamins, minerals. It's best to find one with little to no sugar, no added sugar, free from GMOs and artificial sweeteners, artificial colors, and possibly allergens, depending on your child too. A lot of kids have allergies. It should have real bioavailable ingredients, transparent sourcing, and scientific support. And, you know, as your kid gets older, their demands change. And parents also have less control over the diet as the child gets older, either because they're 2 and they say no to everything, or because they're at school or they're at their friends' houses or they're teenagers. So they're out a lot. You don't know what they're doing. They're in and out, they're wherever. And so if you know that you can get them that daily vitamin, you can ensure they're not becoming deficient and you can meet their needs.
That's great. So would you say, obviously, like as they transition, you know, from kids, toddlers to tweens and teens, does that multivitamin need to change in what its components are?
Yeah, it definitely does. There's, you know, some things are based on age, some things are based on weight. And either way, it's a different vitamin if you're a kid, and it's a different vitamin for like the 13 to 17-year-olds versus the 4 to 12-year-olds. So it does make a difference to meet what they need. Yes.
Yeah, it's great. So this next question that I have, it kind of hits close to home, right? So what happens if our children are picky eaters? And as parents, we're kind of worried about, you know, them getting enough essential vitamins and minerals. What kind of key supplements should we be aware of, and any maybe like fruits and vegetables to really help target growth and development?
Well, picky eaters are such a common problem in pediatrics, and preventing it and handling it is a huge topic that would be fun to talk about sometime and interesting. But once you know you have a picky eater, I tell parents don't give up and just let them choose what they want to eat. I always say the parent provides and the child decides. So offer the nutritious foods, always be consistent and do that, whether they reject it or just throw it on the floor. Making smoothies is a great way to sneak in nutrients. I'm sure Daphne works on all this stuff all the time. Making muffins, meatloaf, you hide shredded vegetables, have them help prep the food, eat as a family as much as you can. That really, really helps because you can model the eating, but giving a multivitamin will not only help the child, but it helps that parent because they're so stressed out and anxious about those picky eaters. So a simple way to relieve the anxiety is to give a high quality multivitamin every day. That'll make sure that they get the important nutrients. And then specific fruits and vegetables, not really, it's more the variety. So we always say to eat a rainbow of fruits and vegetables to help hit the mark with the nutrients.
Yeah, that's great. And, you know, Daphne, I'm going to go to you, obviously, because you're a chef and we love your recipes. So what would be some of your, you know, quick and easy go-to toddler approved meals?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I mean, of all the questions I get asked, how do I avoid or how do I help my picky eater is top on there. And just to echo what Dr. Crosby said, something that I found to be so true is, you know, you referenced the stress that parents feel that their kids aren't getting enough. My grandmother always said to me, don't let your kids resist you more than the food. And I think our kids do really feel us. They feel our anxiety, they feel our anxiousness. And then they also are asserting their own ego and they resist you, not really because they don't like the food, just because you're forcing them to, and they don't want that, you know? So I became a big fan of repeatedly exposing my kids to the foods I want them to eat, because they will always say no the first time, maybe the first 10 times, the first 20 times, but like lentil soup, I'll make lentil soup and I'll give each of them a little cup. And some of them loved them, but some of them just would no. And then miraculously, like the 15th time it was in front of them, it wasn't something new and easy to resist. They tried it and they liked it, and we went from there. So don't give up, don't be discouraged. It also can take kids up to, I think, 30 times to develop a taste for something. So do not be discouraged if the first 1 or 5 or 10 times they just spit it out. Some toddler approved recipes. Okay. And also, I appreciate the eat the rainbow point. And if you are someone who there's even a select group of like 5 healthy things that your kids love, lean on those. It's something, you know, it's the drop in the bucket mentality. So a couple of things we loved. I shred veggies into like zucchini, yellow squash. I'll oftentimes peel the zucchini so they can't really see the green. Zucchini, yellow squash, butternut squash into meatballs, into meatloaf. We do like a creamy mac and cheese that I put creamed butternut squash into that they love. I start with foods I know they love and add veggies in there a lot of the time. Or even I might do like mashed lentils or mashed beans in with the meat mix in a bolognese or in a meatball. That works really well too. Ezekiel whole grain toast that up, drizzle a little olive oil on top, nutritional flakes and cheese, and it tastes like cheese and salt, is one of the craziest, easiest snack time meals that my kids loved, because it tastes like cheese toast, but you're giving them all these great B vitamins, you're giving them protein. It's kind of an amazing little trick. And we put nutritional yeast all over popcorn too. So I really am a fan of like leading into foods I know they're not going to resist me on and trying to augment as much of the nutritional qualities as possible. And yes, smoothies are a big feature of that. And smoothies frozen as popsicles are going to be what I'll be relying on during the summer as well.
Oh my gosh, some great tips. And those sound really delicious too. We're going to have to try those out. And now kind of focused on you and your postpartum recovery. What were kind of some of your go-to meals?
Look, you're oftentimes eating with one hand, especially in those early months. You're eating with one hand and you have to eat fast, that was the hardest piece for me, is like unlearning the rapid eating that I learned in the first couple months, because I also just kept like gaining weight and feeling uncomfortable in my body because I was just eating so fast and eating, just trying to get it in, because you never know when you could go in stretches and stretches and stretches without being able to eat. So you're kind of like fueling up for that time period. So some things I came to rely on that I found gave me the best milk quality, helped me restore my energy levels, helped me sleep, made sure that I was digesting properly, because all of these things, I mean, you are your one system. All of these things disrupt each other. I loved my smoothies. There's some really great pregnancy and postpartum smoothie blends available now, which was something that I was desperately searching for when I had my first baby, and now the market's flooded with them, which I'm so great. It just shows the power of the consumer to really engineer what shows up on marketplace shelves. So I loved my smoothies. Leafy greens and protein were like major milk helpers for me. So I did nuts. I did lots of steamed veggies to try to make it easier on my digestion. I did lots of, steamed I know cruciferous veggies, sometimes people are wary of that if you're breastfeeding, but for me, it worked well. I did, I would make things on batch too, or I would rely on someone to cook for me, like my mom or my husband or my nanny or like somebody, please grill like 10 chicken breasts and leave them in the fridge for me. And that was sort of, by planning ahead for the times I knew I would hopefully get a moment, and roasting or cooking a lot of things all at once. I would roast like 10 sweet potatoes at one time. And I would have that with like a drizzle of tahini and sea salt or a little maple syrup or honey on top if I was craving something sweeter. And those were sort of the things, and oatmeal. People obviously love their oatmeal. And one little trick for you if oatmeal is not your thing, which it was not for me, is I make oatmeal and I press it into a loaf pan, put it in the fridge overnight. The next day, take it out of the loaf pan and slice off slices and put it in a waffle iron. And then your oatmeal becomes a waffle. It is so easy and quick just to fire off. It's like now one of my favorite breakfasts. And I am someone who hated having to eat oatmeal before that. So.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's a great trick. And also I have to mention, I love your big bowl salad recipes too. Those are a great go-to.
I'm a salad fanatic. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Now, Dr. Phillips, as we kind of, round out our postpartum, obviously a 6-week postpartum checkup is customary, but really, women need more time to recover. So what should we look for on our path to recovery?
Yeah, 6 weeks has been our hallmark for a while. And we all know that 1, that's not enough. And 2, it's way too late to see your physician because so many things are going on that we're actually having an active movement to move that date to sooner, because women need support mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and physically much sooner than 6 weeks, right? By then your hair has already been pulled out. So when I see women, however, at that 6-week point, I am really focusing on checking in with her mental health, because I find that we are we're thinkers and we're feelers, and everything starts up here for us. And so if we're not mentally feeling intact with our body and our relationships then nothing really else goes from there. So I really focus on her mental state as a way to help her regain a connection to her body and moving forward on that physical state. If you've had a baby before, the difference between that, your 20-something-year-old and you compare your 30-something-year-old body to your 40. And I think that the 6-week visit for me is about checking in to making sure that we're reconnecting with our physical self. In that process, I definitely encourage women to stay with their prenatal body, because your body is still healing. The 6 weeks is so arbitrary. Your body is still healing, whether you've had a vaginal delivery, a C-section. I have women who've had twins or multiples who've had both vaginal and C-section for the same pregnancy. And so your body is like, feed me, nourish me, love me. And it's really important that women continue to take their prenatal vitamins during this time as a part of that process. One thing I ask them to really also focus on, outside of all of the different supplements we've mentioned, is also calcium and vitamin D, because not only do they snatch that iron, but your bones take a hit. And often women come in and they're just like, I feel a little weaker, my teeth aren't as great. Like, you have to pay attention to the calcium and vitamin D stores and replenish those along with your iron in between pregnancies. And so I start with the mental as a way to then get them to refocus on their physical selves and getting back to what they know themselves to be.
Yeah, that's so important. And I love that approach. I think that's, especially as we're recovering, I think that's such great points to touch on, and really advocating for yourself and being in tune with what your body needs and everything that we've gone through. To round out, Dr. Crosby and Dr. Phillips, I do want to touch base that, Persona, as we stated, is a scientifically backed program, really designed specific to each individual, even taking into account what current medications you are on. And I would love for you to each just share with us why that is so important. So Dr. Crosby, I'll start with you.
For sure, definitely. Well, certain dietary supplements can change the absorption or the metabolism or the excretion, which is, how our body clears out the medication, and that can affect its potency. So if you're taking a medication or supplement regularly, you want to make sure there are no concerning interactions. So what's great is that Persona's personalized program helps to ensure you're safe. And of course, always speak to your doctor too if there are any questions. As a mom and a physician, I love that Persona takes that guesswork out of finding the right nutrition program for you. And that's such a time saver too, and can give you a lot of peace of mind.
Yeah, definitely. Dr. Phillips, same question for you.
I agree exactly with that. There are interactions that you might just never even consider that can have really significant effects on your health and well-being. And so being able to identify that and troubleshoot ahead of time is everything. And, we're not all the same person, right? We're not all the same pregnancy. We're not all the same postpartum. So why should we take the same supplements that everyone else is taking? I think that it's important that we use the research and technology that's available to us so that we can live our best lives. And that sounds so cliche, the whole living your best life, but it's actually really important. Why would I take something that isn't fit for me? And if you have access to the information where you can have something that's tailored to you specifically, that will help you go out through your day feeling stronger, feeling more powerful, then I would take advantage of that.
Absolutely. Oh, I love this. This was such an incredible discussion. And I think some key takeaways, we really touched on, the convenience factor, advocating for yourself, and really finding a plan that suits you, because there's only one you. And so if you can actually take something that's tailored to your needs, why wouldn't you? Right? Why wouldn't you? So let's open it up for some Q&A. I see a lot of questions coming in, and I'm so excited to get those. Let me see right here. Yep. Okay. So our first question that we have, actually, I think Dr. Crosby, this one would be best directed for you. Does Persona offer vitamins for children and kids?
I am so glad you asked that. I'm so glad. We're actually really thrilled to announce Persona's new gummy vitamin daily packs. They're available now for the entire family, including kids and teenagers. We touched a little bit on the importance of this for kids and teens. These just launched actually today, so you're getting an inside scoop on this. And people can check out at Persona Marketplace on Instagram or visit the website and then click on Marketplace and check them out because they're amazing.
Oh, good timing. And that's wonderful. Yes. So they're actually going to be gummy vitamin daily packs for kids and teens. And what age ranges will that be targeted for?
Yeah, so for the kids, they start at age 4. So they go to 4 through 12, and then the teen ones start at 13, and they're 13 through 17.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Covered it all.
Yeah, covered it all. That's great. Let me see. I have another question here. Okay, Dr. Crosby, for you again, what nutritional advice is recommended to support a healthy lactation supply?
Great question as well. I know Daphne touched on some of these, but again, as we've all said, continuing to take that prenatal vitamin every day. And I always tell moms also to drink a glass of water or some type of non-caffeinated fluid every time they breastfeed or pump too, because they get dehydrated and they don't even realize it. And then they feel icky and fatigued and the milk is down. It's also important to eat a balanced diet, including those proteins, fish, eggs, lean meat, poultry, nuts, seeds, beans, whole grains. We talked about oatmeal. Everyone talks about that. And then the variety of fruits and vegetables also. You just want that balance. Makes you feel good. Yeah.
Let's see. We have another question here. Dr. Phillips, I will direct this one to you. Is it safe to use additional immunity boosting supplements while taking a multivitamin, or is that considered too much?
If it doesn't affect you negatively, then I don't think that it's too much. It really depends on what your day-to-day activities are, your levels of stress, which can change on a day-to-day basis throughout the week, month, year. So if you find that you occasionally need immunity boosters, then I would encourage people to take them. I rarely have anyone who has negative side effects as it relates to them. So if it's helping you feel stronger, then I would say move forward.
Great. And let's see, Leah, what are some of your safe practice prenatal exercises that you go to?
Well, one of the simplest is really a good preparation. Both it's an alternative to the abdominal exercises that people typically are doing, like crunches or even a lot of sort of mat Pilates. And it's basically an exhalation as you engage and kind of pull the belly button towards the spine. Or during pregnancy, I say, pretend you're hugging your baby with your abdominal muscles. So it's a little ha, ha.
We're all doing it.
Of course. Oh my God.
It's something you can do in the office between meetings, like subtly on a Zoom call, maybe. But just really recruiting those deep core muscles, it helps both the connection to the pelvic floor, which is really important for birth and for recovery, but it also helps you find and recruit that deepest core muscle called your transverse abdominis. That's crucial for pushing and for recovery. And it can help prevent that separation, protect the back, etc. So it's one of those very simple exercises that I encourage women to do, like throughout the pregnancy and early on in recovery too.
Wonderful. And also another question just came in from Megan. Can some workouts be damaging to the core when pregnant? And how can I be sure I am being safe?
Yes. And I try to help people kind of evaluate things rather than having a list of like black and white, like this is safe and not safe, because there's kind of infinite number of exercises out there and it's hard to remember all those things. So I try to give them basically 2 questions to ask themselves when they're in a workout or, doing something at home. One is this movement bulging my abdominal muscles forcefully forward, kind of like pushing the baby forward, and you could look down and you're doming, or the belly is like pushing outward. If that's happening, you're actually strengthening the muscles in a way that's counterproductive, and it's going to decrease your integrity throughout your core. So if your muscles are bulging forward and you cannot keep your belly towards the spine, then don't skip that move, whatever it is. The other thing that I'll say, and this is especially for prenatal yoga devotees, and we are now offering prenatal yoga, but it's all safe for diastasis recti. But sometimes women really love those chest openers, and they'll like really kind of go all the way into a chest opener, and I can look over and see that woman's ribs are like on opposite sides of the room. So if you're opening your lower rib cage with really kind of big stretches, you're actually opening your upper abdominal muscles, and you're making them stretch even more than they otherwise would. So I still love, there are a lot of benefits to prenatal yoga, but you want to keep the range of motion a little bit smaller. So if you feel like your ribs are splaying open or kind of like opening wider than normal, just kind of bring yourself into neutral. So you're making a smaller stretch, and think more about opening the collarbones than like the rib cage. So those are my 2 biggest cautions. Avoid bulging of the belly and keep your ribs anchored and together, not overstretching or oversplaying the ribs.
Okay, great. Daphne, here we have a question. What are your go-to snacks for kids when traveling in a car or a plane?
Ooh, my go-to snacks. We travel with a backpack just of like food for the kids, which is shocking. We love cheese sticks. We love cut up fruit. We love, I do a lot of like the alternative flour pretzels. I'm going back to, customers' desires have been answered. And so there are all these really great alternative flour, crispy things. My kids would love to eat chips for, every meal basically. But there's some ones that I feel better about, and some pretzels and things like that I feel better about. Popcorn, my kids love. And I mentioned we make our own with, nutritional yeast and a little butter and salt. What else do we, I think those are our like primary mix. I try not to bring candy, or like chocolates or anything that are going to make them bounce even more off the walls. I don't need any more help with that, but I will bring emergency vitamin C lollipops. Those are like when there's either a major meltdown or a major win. I really have been trying, especially, this year, have been trying to reward good behavior more than call out bad behavior. And I think that has not only made my kids more responsive to good behavior, or more likely to behave in a way that's good, but it also has made me less reactive and made our whole dynamic much more fluid, which I've appreciated a lot. And then if you're in a car where you have more like ability to spread out a little bit, I'll bring sandwiches, I'll bring hummus and dip, things that if I brought it on a plane, I would be sort of mad at myself. But if we're in a car, I don't mind.
Oh, I love that. Great tips. And actually another question just came in for you, Daphne. What's your best kept secret for looking good throughout all your pregnancies?
Oh, that's a lovely, I hope I did look, presentable, but you know what, I have to be honest that I actually struggled with my weight all through young adulthood, up until I was about 18. At 18, I went off to college and realized that I'd put food in this, I grew up the oldest of 4, but in a huge family. I was always cooking with my mom, and food was always this sort of love. And it was this bonding time. It was this passion of mine. I absolutely just enjoyed every second of it. And I sometimes over-enjoyed it. And it wasn't until I got to college that I made the emotional association clear for myself and really was able to establish a healthy lifestyle program that really worked for me and let me keep my love of food and keep my love of being with my loved ones around food, but did it in a way that didn't sacrifice my health. So interestingly, I was most confident in my skin actually when I was pregnant, in a way, because it was this time of just like embracing the goddesshood of femininity and really like just and loving to see my body changing and loving to see this baby growing inside of me. And I leaned hard into like comfort wear. I will say that leggings were the staple. And I was living in Manhattan, and it was mostly winter babies anyway. So I was in the cold weather a lot, and I favored sweaters and leggings. But I think when I felt my most beautiful was when I was doing like long maxi dresses or even short dresses. A pregnant lady in a really cute mini dress is, I think, adorable, with a fashion sneaker. I loved it. And looking for ways to highlight when you feel good, like leaning into those moments. If it is taking that 10 minutes to do your workout, if it's doing a mask and taking back a little time just to clear your head, if it's taking a walk, like moving your lymph around, just something I realized in my motherhood when I was feeling most confident was when I was paying attention to and focusing on the things that made me feel good, as opposed to the achy back and swollen ankles and skin that was acting out in ways that I wasn't used to, and trying to highlight the positives for myself, because I do think that the confidence is what reads, and the feeling of feeling good is what reads more than anything else.
Absolutely. Feeling good in your own skin. Nothing like it. It just makes you glow from within. You have to do what works for you and what makes you feel the best. And I love this question that just came in. It says, I'm in my early 20s. Is there anything I can do to prepare now for a future pregnancy? Dr. Phillips, I think you would be great to answer that.
Yes, I think you can. I encourage women to come in for preconception visits prior to getting pregnant, and it really helps us check in to make sure that you're in your optimal health. In general, most people are pretty healthy in their 20s, but every now and then we find hypertension, thyroid disease, diabetes that's starting to creep up. I don't certainly ask my patients to be, the smallest they've ever been in their life. But if you're having issues with self-esteem as it relates to your weight, these are times when we want to start addressing those issues so that you can have a healthy pregnancy as it relates to the need to have a slightly increased caloric intake and being comfortable with your new body and weight gain. So I like to address these issues in young women as soon as they start thinking about those. So I would encourage you to have a preconception visit so we can visit some of these issues that aren't always physical, but biological, psychosocial, so you can have a healthy pregnancy.
Wonderful. Great response. Thank you. And I love this last one. I'm going to end us on this. It said, this has been so insightful. I would love to know everyone's top tips on how to stay healthy and happy. So Dr. Crosby, I'll start with you and we'll let everybody finish this one.
That's great. I mean, for me, I have had to prioritize sleep. I was on call last night, so I didn't sleep very much, but other nights when I'm not on call. So I do try and really make sure I'm strict about like my bedtime and going to sleep so I can get my sleep. Because I do find if I get at least 7.5 hours, I'm better. I'm just more energetic. I just feel better. It helps your mood. So it helps a lot. Sleep, hydration, my multivitamins, super important to take the vitamins, and walking. I love that. So if something physical, I also have a lot of patients who no one's exercised during this year of the pandemic, very few. So I've been talking about also, like we said, I'm like, fine, take a break, go up and down the stairs in your house 10 times and then later do something else, but move. So sleep, nutrition, and move.
Wonderful. Dr. Phillips, to you.
I would say, and I think I'm only learning this in my 40s, which I wish I had a better grasp when I was younger, but learning that it's okay to say no. I think women, mothers in general, we have a hard time learning when to say basta, enough. I'm not doing this. And it really starts to affect us mentally and then eventually physically. We're not getting sleep, we're stress eating. So I think learning how to either forcefully or very politely say no and create boundaries to protect your mental space, your personal space, is something that I would recommend everyone learn to develop so that they can live their best life.
Absolutely. Such great advice. Leah, I'll have you finish next.
Well, I'm a big lover of movement, but I would encourage us, I think many of us have different relationships with exercise. And some of us, it's a chore or it's a should, or it's like one more thing that I'm failing at. And so I think if we can embrace the movements that we love and do it as an act of self-love. So whether that's a walk in the woods or a moment to just sit and be with your body and notice if you need to stretch, but to just kind of give yourself that as a gift each day and put it in your schedule if you need to do that. Like 10 minutes, put it in your schedule. I'm going to love myself through movement, and whatever that means for you, enjoy it. And it can start to alter, like give you a healthier, happier relationship with your body and with fitness.
Absolutely. Daphne, I'll have you finish us.
So many great pointers, and I love how like bulleted they were. I will remember all of them. I would close on something that has made a big difference in my mood, in my effectiveness, and therefore in my ability to have time to enjoy myself too, which is a to-do list at the end of the night. At the end of the night, when I'm ready to like turn my brain off, I write it. I physically, with my hand, not on my phone or on my computer, write my to-do list out. And there is something so blissfully gratifying about being able to cross things off of that list. And also to be able to get it out of my brain, because there were times where I was falling asleep, remembering something I had to do, and then it disrupts your sleep, and you know, it's keeping you distracted. And something about the putting it down on paper and out of your body lets you put it to rest for the night and actually enjoy that free period. And to something that Leah just said, I also started scheduling 10 to 15 minutes at the end of my night to do something fun just for me. Like, and this is after the kids go to bed. I might do a face mask. I might listen to a podcast or read a book. I try to make it, I would love to watch TV, and I, you know, sometimes we do, but I want it to be something deeply fulfilling in a way, you know, and that really lets my brain turn off too. And so that has been something about having it in the calendar means that you don't look at it as an optional thing. It's a really important part of your self-care and about setting yourself up for happiness and health. And that is something that has been really working for me.
Wonderful. Good points to everyone. Such a wonderful discussion. I just want to end with a huge thank you to all of our amazing panelists. This was so informative. And as a key takeaway for all of our wonderful attendees, I hope you really feel empowered and informed to take control of your health goals. I really encourage you to take the 5-minute persona assessment and look out for a follow-up email from MommyMingle, because you're getting 50% off your first order. You will receive that shortly. And if you have any questions in the meantime, please reach out. We are so happy and thankful that you joined us today. And a big farewell and a send off to our panelists. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kristin. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys.